welcome back to the channel. My mic is not working. I think it needs to be charged. So I'm going to try to talk loud enough for the laptop mic to pick it up. Hopefully the audio will be okay. This is story time at the end. And today our story is going to be about werewolves. That I have a lot of interest in. Okay, so looking at the Celtic perspective of werewolves, they're not these horrible, hideous creatures that you see in a lot of other cultures. Sometimes they're helpful and protectors. And remember in the story of the Morrigan and Cuchulainn, one of the forms she used to attack him was a wolf. So she changed into the form of the wolf to do one of her attacks. So there are a lot of tales from Ostrich. I'm probably not saying that right. Ostrich. Through the line of Nuada. Let's see. I'm not good with these names. Lagna Failit. He was a king of Ostrich, and he, according to legend, could shift into wolf shape. He and his children. Now Kukarka, again, probably butchering the pronunciations. He swore service to a nun after killing her hound, which sounds very familiar to the other tale of when, Cuchulainn did that. He vowed to serve as guardian for the blacksmith because he had killed his hound. So these stories kind of repeat, and anytime you have stories that repeat, it makes me think that something actually happened that was told over and over again and became myth. So probably based on something real. So let's see. Now I've got some a clip here. We're gonna look at that and see some information and talk about it. Let's see if I can get this going. I don't see it on the screen. Do you see it on the screen? It says it's there, but I don't see it. Okay, I did something wrong. Technical difficulties. Please hold. Okay, I had it hidden. Sorry. Got it. Alright. Hopefully you can hear this okay.
So we will start with the tale of the werewolves of the Osrian. The story begins with a priest travelling from Ulster to Meath. He and his companion were taken to rest by a fire in a clearing when a wolf came up and started talking to them. He said, "There are two of us, a man and a woman, natives of Ossory, who, through the curse of Natalis, saint and abbot, are compelled every 7 years to put off the human form and depart from the dwellings of men. Quitting entirely the human form, we assume that of wolves. At the end of the 7 years, if they chance to survive, 2 others would be substituted in their place to return to their country and their former shape." No doubt the wolf's extremely formal speech reassured them. He then explains that his female companion is dying and asks the priest for the last rites. The priest follows the wolf to their lair, where he sees a female wolf who is clearly about to die. He has doubts, however, about administering the sacrament. So the male wolf reaches out and pulls off her wolf skin to reveal an old woman underneath.
Pulled off her wolf skin?
He then gives her the sacrament, and she dies. The wolf then stays with the priest and his companion all night talking. The best part is that the priest supposedly passed it on to the bishop, who sent it all the way up to Pope Urban III.
Okay. That tale is very interesting. One of the parts of it said that they had to stay in, they were cursed to stay in wolf form for 7 years. That's very familiar to another story in the Hebrew Bible. King Nebuchadnezzar was cursed by God to live like an animal for 7 years. Mad out of his mind and think he was an animal, and he would live in the wild for 7 years, and then he would regain his mental ability and realize he was a human and come back. So this living as an animal for 7 years. So that's been in more than one culture. So that's interesting to me. I don't know what it means, but I find it interesting. Okay. And now some of the accounts, and I think I have one, mention about that while these people are transformed into wolves, their families are not to move their bodies, or they won't be able to return. Which means that this is not a physical transformation in those cases. It's more of a spirit travel or astral projection kind of thing, which is very interesting to me. But I kind of like the idea more of the actual physical transformation would be better. But then along this same line, the tale, the idea of a cult of the wolf, or the seeing it as a sacred animal. There are different tribal cultures around the world who do. Let's see. Like the Greeks have the lichen, and then Rome, you had the twins, Romulus and Remus, who were suckled by a she-wolf, and then you have the wolves of Odin. And there are cultures where warriors would wear a wolf pelt and kind of alter their consciousness to mimic the style of the wolf when in battle. Sounds kind of like skinwalkers idea. And things like Ku, like Cucullin. Ku means hound or wolf. So, I think I have found another little clip here. I'm going to see if I can find it, pull it up, and see if we can get some more good information. Now that was, oh yeah, the idea of Patrick. I'm going to unhide it.
A variant to this story comes from the Norse Conoxscocha, which has the pagan Irish mocking St. Patrick's preaching by howling like wolves, and then the enraged saint cursing them. Another legend says he changed King Veracticus into a wolf, so this is something of a habit for St. Patrick.
Again, similar to the tale in the Jewish scriptures of King Nebuchadnezzar being cursed and turned into an animal for 7 years. Interesting.
The Irish version of History of Britain with Menace gives the same story with some extra details. The descendants of the wolf are an ossuary. They have a wonderful property. They transform themselves into wolves and go forth in the form of wolves. And if they happen to be killed with flesh in their mouths, it is in the same condition that the bodies out of which they came will be found. And they command their families not to remove their bodies, because if they are removed, they could never come into them again. This last detail is interesting. Often we hear of shamans and other magicians sending forth their spirits, during which they lie as if dead, is said that in Ireland, lycanthropy was hereditary, and that those of certain lineages could shift into Phaelad, that is, wolf ships. The most famous of these lycanthropes were the Lagnok Phaelad, otherwise known as the Wolfmen of Tipperary. These were fearsome warriors who, howling like wolves, fought for the ancient kings of Ireland, and were every bit as fierce and ferocious as the beasts they assumed the shape of. They lived in remote areas, and unlike the werewolves of Ossory, they could turn into wolves whenever they wanted.
Interesting. I wonder if that's anything like the Berserkers. And it reminds me of a movie. Anyone see the 13th Warrior? They were battling against this group who dressed in bear skins and attacked with the ferocity of bears. It's kind of the same mentality. So what do you think? This last clip is pretty much saying that there was one group that could physically change whenever they wanted to. Not like the other group that laid in stasis while their spirit traveled in wolf form. I want to know more about the second group. That sounds interesting. I'll find out more about that. And of course, the cynocephaly, dog-headed men, which were reported to be just a normal civilization of beings that looked humanoid but had dog-like heads and were hired as mercenaries by many kings or whatever. So it makes you wonder, were they actually a different type of creature being? Or were these groups that wore a skin when they met with these leaders to take on mercenary roles and went into battle? I don't know. Very interesting. But that's all I have today. I've had a lot of internet issues over the weekend, so I'm really late even getting started on story time and then my mic's not working, so it's been a night of technical difficulties at the end. This happens sometimes. But I hope you enjoyed the little conversation, and if you want to join in the conversation in the comments, tell me more about if you know more about the idea of werewolves or shape-shifting in the Celtic cultures, or any culture really. If you have more information about it, I would love to hear it, because I'm here to learn and to investigate. Something to do at the end. So thanks for being here for story time, and I will see you next week. Bye.